He unexpectedly passed away of a heart attack, and he was gone before we found him. And
What kind of feelings? What are your main feelings around the death of your husband? And what was your husband's name?
My husband's name is Dee. I was shocked mostly, nervous because I didn't know if I was capable of caring for all of my children and giving them the same life that we had when he was here. So I was afraid, like, okay, can I do this? You know, what am I gonna do? Because he was my only family. And he also lost his dad the year before, so his family really couldn't help me financially or anything, so we're just kind of on our own. Yeah, so,
Okay.
those were my biggest feelings, was just fear of, am I going to be able to do this the right way?
So what you're saying is that you've lost your husband of 21 years, and around the death you were mostly shocked,
Yes.
and there was a lot of fear and sadness.
Yes, of course. I mean, I was sad because, you know, he was my soulmate, my best friend, father of my kids.
So what stage of grief?
I think mostly I was sad for my children because they experienced all of these.
Oh.
Yes.
And
But
they're
as a
probably like
mother,
cycling through them.
yes, as a mother, you have to be sensitive to all of them, so you have to be the strong one. You can never be, you know, weak, I guess.
So what stage of grief do you personally feel like you're
I
in
think
right
that
now?
I'm definitely at 5. I skipped a lot of these steps. In my nature, I'm very much a realist, and in my religion, the process of life is very black and white. We talk about it in our religion, and it's not necessarily that it's a bad thing. We all know that this is our life here on this earth, which is very short. And then we have the afterlife, which is eternity. So I think because the acceptance of my religion and the true belief within me, I understand this process, and therefore it was easy for me to move forward because, you know, my husband died a natural way also. I mean, he didn't die from a shooting. I think that makes a difference too. My husband had a heart attack, which is just part of life. It's something that people have to experience. Everybody's gonna die. We're gonna die. I accept that. And I know that there's something else beyond, and that this is the way that it's supposed to go, you know? So I accept it. I'm sad. I miss him, you know?
Yes.
He was a fun guy, you know? He was a good dad. He was my best friend. And it's hard to be lonely,
So
you know?
So there was fear, but mostly you're in acceptance right now. Or you feel like you're in acceptance right now.
Now I know that I can take care of my children by myself. In the beginning, I was scared because it's not easy financially in every way possible, right? But I know that I can, and I will.
Awesome. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing, Shelly. And Khadija, you're next.
Alrighty, so I will preface this with both of my parents are dead, but my father, his name is Eddie, he passed away November this past year. He passed away less than 2 weeks after we ended our estrangement. He died in his sleep from a heart attack. And like my biggest beef, because I think a lot of my emotions are being drugged up with being pregnant, and the fact that he'll never know his granddaughter. It's like, when we had contact for those like first couple, like those 2 weeks, his emails were like really cryptic, like I have things to explain to you, like things to tell you about, and never really told me anything. And you know, it's hard to balance between knowing that he didn't really want me in his life for 8 years to suddenly I get in a step to go and talk to him and end our estrangement. And then he dies before we can really resolve a whole lot.
So you feel like there were some unresolved issues that you were so close to getting.
I don't know if I was ever close to getting it, but like it would have been nice to at least like discuss some of the things, really build a relationship, repair what we lost, over the years. Because he was my idol growing up. The way he handled my mother's death was like really nice and gratefulness. He was really there for me and my sister for a long time, and then just something happened, and our relationship fell apart after that. And I really wanted to like have a relationship. And I mean, I got a little bit of closure, but it's like he's gone before we could really hash stuff out.
Okay. So what stage of grief do you feel like you're in right now?
I bounce back between different things. I get a lot of anger.
Which is totally normal.
I get a lot of anger because I'm mad that he chose his step family over his family. Like, he chose his stepchildren, had this great relationship, but then didn't have a relationship with my sister for years. And, you know, I guess bargaining, it's like, well, what if, like, I think about what if he was still around? What if he was a part of my daughter's life? You know, like, things like that. So I kind of bounce between them, just trying to figure it out, because I know I'm never really going to get an answer, but I just like, I'm trying to tell myself, you'll be fine, you'll get through it, someday it might make sense.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And Mandy?
Thank you for, you know, I didn't quite realize how much grief I had around a transition in my home life until recently. I guess about a little over a year ago, well, 2 years ago, we moved into our current home with the idea that we would co-house with another family and practice community living. And a little bit over a year ago, another family did move in with us, and we were sharing that space and trying to practice that communal living. And over time, for a variety of reasons and in a variety of ways, it became clear that it was a difficult arrangement. And unfortunately, even though I think everyone involved had the best of intentions, there were a lot of really hard things going on. I mean, individuals experiencing their own kind of, still going through their own grieving process. The family who moved in with us had experienced like a handful, literally, like her father, his mother, they lost a baby, blah, 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 like in the span of just a couple of years leading up to moving in with us. So they were freshly working through their grief. And I was newly pregnant with him. And so we had all these really great intentions, and over time, there was, I mean, I think we caused more pain for each other than any of us even intended to in that experience. And in the end, although we seemed to pretty cordially figure out a way to part ways, like after about 9 months, they moved out, I guess, right before he was born, so almost 6 months ago. And there was a lot of tensions and hard loose ends to tie up. And I'm sorry to be so vague. I can be more specific too if I just, you know, there's part of me that wants and needs to talk about the details of this. Like, this was so hard.
So you're grieving the loss of like an idea that you had for your living situation.
Absolutely, because now, no, it feels like I'm not sure that that's really going to be possible even with another family. Like, it just, and I'm grieving what happened with that particular arrangement, but also, like you said, like the loss of the idea of like, this is why we even moved into this house, and this was a big move and a lot of sacrifice, and now, you know, how can I accept the lessons and the good that did come from this experience and let go of the suffering and the pain that I may have inadvertently caused these people I considered my friends, or, you know, or like let go of like all the investment I did put in and like letting that go or whatever. And I think it's just taken me a long time to accept that this is a grieving process. I've sort of belittled it, like, you know, because I feel so lucky, like, I'm still living in the home that is mine, you know, and all of these things, and sort of dismissing the difficult aspects of, like, this was a real sacrifice in a lot of ways for everybody, and everybody was kind of hurting.
Yeah, sometimes we get like this idea in our head, and when it doesn't happen, especially when you put so much into it and the thought, and you know, you have your finances on the line and everything, that's hard, that's difficult. So what stage of grief do you feel like you're in this process?
Yeah, I think, you know, for a long time afterward, we were sort of in this, like, bargaining space of, like, you know, we're trying to figure, well, maybe it could be this, or it could be that, or, like, we could try this kind of thing. Or maybe it wasn't quite that bad, or no, it was way worse. Because I don't know, it's just, but I think now I think I kind of waffle between sort of a depressive element of it. I mean, I think I still feel very sad, beyond sad, but like I really feel the loss of it. But I think I'm coming more to an acceptance of it in time, honestly. Yeah.
So like, we've all been shared our experiences here. Thank you for sharing. And like to link that together, like most of us, I mean, like most people here we've lost a person. Like Savannah lost grandmother, and she lost her father. Like, and you lost your mom. You know, so. Like, I'm trying to like link us together, show how people are, all of our grief is kind of like in the same, the feelings of loss and how, you know, how common that is for all of us. So, you know, sometimes it makes us feel better to know that we're not alone in our grief. Like other people are experiencing the same things, you know, and having the same problems. You know, sometimes just knowing that makes you feel better. I know that's for me. And so now we're gonna do an activity. Could you pass me those hearts right here?
Thank you.
We're going to do a little activity as hopefully as a way to help us take one, actually take one. Pass them around. Okay, so we're going to do a little activity because like I said, the purpose of our group is to heal. Okay. Now we all know with grief, you know, like when you lose your grandma or like lost my husband, you lose your family member, you know, grief, it's funny the concept how they say like you're supposed to just heal and move on. People tell you like you're supposed to move on. Like honestly, you never move on from grief. Like you're never gonna be the same again. You know, it's not gonna be the same again. So this little activity is called Healing Hearts. All right, and it is kind of like gonna help us visualize our experience. Like so, you know, you hear the term broken heart. You know, when something everybody dies, your heart broken, right? And so in this activity, we are going to show how we felt when the loss happened, all right? So for me, I'll start, like for me, I lost my husband. You know, I had no children, I was 29, me and him had been married for 10 years, but I never got pregnant, so I was hoping to get pregnant one day, you know, me and him were in a good place, but he passed away. So with that loss, when it first happened, as I tear my heart, I'm gonna tear my heart, I'm gonna tell you, I want you guys to tell me, and I'm going to tell you what I lost with his death. Okay, so for example, when he passed away, I lost the idea of us having children together. All right, that's one. Another thing that I lost was, for me, it represented the end of our chapter. Our love story was ended. Okay, and one more thing for me, actually, I wrote it down. So that I don't forget my lips. And I was heartbroken that I would never get to hold him again. Okay, so here I have my broken heart. That's what it looks like. So I'm gonna go around with you guys, and I want you to, you know, rip your heart up into as many pieces as you choose. But so you won't rip it up totally, but you're gonna tell me with each rip what you feel you lost. Like how you felt, or you can also focus on how you felt in the time, you know, because some of us are in acceptance, but at the time when it happens, how did that make you feel? You know, like what did you lose? Okay. We're gonna go around.
I lost my best friend. I lost my childhood second home. I lost a safe place to talk out my feelings. And I lost probably some of my close family relationships because she's the one that glued us together.
Okay.
I lost a sense of, I was disillusioned in the sense of wanting to live out my values and just how real and hard and complicated that can be. I lost financial resources. I lost some deep relationships like that I had spent a lot of time on and that had been spent a lot of time on with other people. And I lost, or I felt and experienced a lot of fear and insecurity around like what will happen next, how can we kind of move on and figure out this situation.
Okay. Layla?
This is gonna suck.
It doesn't have to be a whole bunch of ribs, you can just one or two.
Okay, so I lost my parents, like the security of having parents. I don't know.
Okay, if that's all you feel, you can stop right there. Okay. Layla, Shelby.
Okay, I lost financial security, a father for my children, my best friend and soulmate, my sexual partner. That's a big rip. Can I rip a bigger one?
Yes. Sorry.
My first real family member, because he was I didn't have family before him. And the rest of our life together. That would have been long for sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you.
That's my best friend. Okay. And Chris. Khadija.
It's okay, either one.
Khadija, Chris.
There's so many names, that's why I like just combine them. I lost the potential to have a future relationship with my dad. I lost the opportunity for us to heal. Lost the opportunity for my dad to be part of my daughter's life. I lost the opportunity to hear why he did the things that he did and his justifications for how we were treated and his sort of mental state and all of that.
Thank you, honey. All right, so you got your hearts, right? Still good. Okay, so Band-Aids. All right, so it's a funny thing about Band-Aids. Think about your kids, right? You know, how y'all got kids, and what happens when they get a boo-boo or a scratch or something? I need a Band-Aid.